So I've decided to record a little set of videos about different grammatical concepts to support you as you move through the course and to help reinforce things that you may need to revisit every once in a while. So I've decided very uncreatively to call this Grammar Boot Camp, right? Episode 1, Prepositions. All right, so what do you propose to do about prepositions? Now, why have I done this? It's sort of a ridiculous thing to have a word like propose next to prepositions. And the reason why is because the Latin origin for the name is the past participial form of the verb praeponere, to set before. Now, we're going to have a whole other video about participles, so you can wait for that. But participles can become adjectives, and then that adjectival form can take on the status of a noun, and that's what happened in Latin. Now, this is translating the Greek grammatical term prothesis, which means to placing before. An English grammarian that I studied from the 11th century translated the form preposition into the Old English word for setness. So if we had used native words for grammar and for grammatical terms, we would have called these words the forsetnissen, which is lots more fun than prepositions. Now, our understanding of them mixes what we know about prefixes, which is part of what is covered in the Greek term prothesis. It can be anything that comes before, with what we know about the unchangeable words that come before noun phrases. Now, that unchangeable is really important. Prepositions, one of their traits is that they don't change form. They are indeclinable, which is what you'll see when you look up the word preposition in the Oxford English Dictionary. Now, what are some of the problem spots for students? Well, one is which words in a sentence are prepositions, right? How do we even know which word it is, right? How do we figure it out? Then also, we usually have heard certain things about grammar and different parts of speech, and so we've heard that it's wrong to end a sentence with a preposition. Well, this is according to traditional prescriptive grammar. And what about the prepositions that combine with verbs, right? Are they still prepositions, or have they become something else? All right, so which words in a sentence are prepositions? All right, the name itself means that it's something that is placed before something else. And typically in English, they are placed before noun phrases, or things that can function like a noun, which we call nominals, right? They connect noun phrases to one another and to verb phrases, right? So an example, I always use strawberry jam in my peanut butter sandwiches, right? So in is a preposition. I've italicized it. Pretty took 3 full semester classes during the fall semester and 1 class over winter break. Prepositions can suggest all sorts of relationships. They can be relationships having to do with space. They can be relationships having to do with time. Jose is doing a research project with a friend, right? They can also suggest something like accompaniment or instrumentality. When we talk about language and we're talking about the order of words, we're talking about something called syntax. And the syntax creates a framework in sentences. So we can recognize a preposition as a word that connects a noun phrase or nominal to another element, right? Ask yourself, what would fit in any of these blanks? Oh, and look at that. There's a little typo. What would fit in this space? Well, what comes to mind for me is they heard the noise from the car. She put the vase on the shelf in the living room at her apartment. Right? All of those words, from, in, on, at, are prepositions. All right, so why haven't you taught me a song, Dr. Steele? Well, first of all, you don't want me trying to teach you a song. I cannot sing for the life of me. But the other point of this is that it would have to be a really long song. I encourage you to learn how to use the advanced search function in the Oxford English Dictionary. And if we do this, we can call up, we can summon to see all of the prepositions that are in the Oxford English Dictionary. And if we do that, we discover 451 little friends, right? So we cannot possibly have a song with 451 elements, and many of these are archaisms, right? They are words that we have lost over the history of the English language. So what is wrong with ending a sentence with one? What's wrong with ending a sentence with a preposition? Well, if we are stuck on our definition of preposition, if we insist that it must be preposed to a noun phrase, or a nominal, something's wrong when it doesn't show up in that position, right? Why does this happen? Well, some words have senses we can explain best with other parts of speech, right? So, for example, we can say the school was over, right? That is talking about time or extent. It's not talking about something that is a spatial relationship, right? Like the school was over there, right? It's so over in this case just isn't acting like a preposition. Well, what about the prepositions that combine with verbs, right? We have lots of verbs that add a preposition to a word to develop a new meaning, right? Some of these prepositions wind up being called phrasal verbs, and especially with questions, they can get stranded away from their object verb phrase, right? For example, the child put on his coat versus which garment did the child put on? That's just something I won't put up with, right? So often we do lots and lots of gymnastics to try to avoid ending a sentence with a preposition, and sometimes we can wind up with what's called a hypercorrection error. So I hope that this has helped to clarify for you what a preposition is, how it works, and how to know when you found one.